James O'Keefe and Project Veritas have released their Expose CNN story, in which a whistleblower at CNN secretly recorded people for months, provided that footage to Veritas, where they've published it now with an interview. So here's what I want to do in this video. I want to talk about my personal thoughts on this story. I do believe this expose from Veritas is extremely important, and I'll also address some of the criticism. But I want to talk about the bigger picture about trust in media. So we're going to go through the Project Veritas story. I'll tell you some of the key points they've uncovered in their expose. But I want to stress, and I'm going to say it, don't trust the media. And let me qualify that statement, okay? Watch the news, read the news, be informed. But you have to go one step beyond. You should never just believe what you're told by people on TV or on the internet. The same is true for me. The same is true for James O'Keefe. Fact check to the best of your ability. At the end of the day, we all choose who we trust, but we cannot just blindly trust the media. In this expose, we can hear from the president of CNN himself, referring to factual news as fake news conspiracy, blaming Fox News. And it really does seem like he is a partisan actor who is not fact-checking what he's seeing. Dare I say it, the media has created a whirlpool of fake news, and they're all swimming in it, consuming the same fake stories. And I'm going to prove it to you to the best of my ability, and I will leave you with one final thought: fact check me. Do not just trust what I tell you, okay? There's a reason why you come to my videos and you now see the big source bigger than my face. I want to make sure you know when I tell you something, it's coming from somewhere. But here's the thing. I just cite these stories. I try to dig through them and figure out what's true. And in reality, often they could be wrong as well. So let's take a look at this story from Project Veritas. But there's something important I have to do, which I don't normally do. We can see this tweet from James O'Keefe. We are trying to get the full 16-minute video uploaded to YouTube showing the CNN footage. YouTube is not allowing the upload. He said he was going to upload a BitChute, but eventually the video did publish. I'm not surprised this happened. I can't tell you why it happened. Sometimes videos get held up, yes. The last time I did a video about Project Veritas, YouTube deleted it outright without notifying me. And it turns out it was because there was a name. There was a name in the background on the website, a publicly available website, so they deleted my video. I believe they did this at the behest of the company in question. So I'm going to blur the Project Veritas website because I can't get rid of every instance of the names in their exposés, and I'm not going to read the names except for Jeff Zucker. The individual employees, I'm not going to reference, but you can go to Project Veritas. It's publicly available information. So let's get started. But before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address, but of course, the best thing you can do, share this video. It's entirely possible this video gets removed at some point because, well, Project Veritas is, man, they walk on the razor's edge. But let's be real. This is one of the few outlets I'm absolutely willing to use, even though NewsGuard says, they're not credible. I disagree. I believe there are very few people doing what Veritas does. I believe that Veritas does basically the same thing we've seen from other mainstream organizations with undercover reporting. And I do believe Project Veritas has their own bias. But of course, everyone does. That's fine. What's the problem is when you end up with big media outlets pretending like they're giving you the facts, but they frame things in a way that trick you. Now, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Veritas. I'll levy the same criticism at literally everybody. Just fact check all of us. I'd be willing to bet that Project Veritas would tell you, do the same thing. Read their story and then go and look for yourself. Decide for yourself. But these big media outlets will tell you they're the most trusted name in the news. Facts first. They'll tell you what a real apple or banana is. That was actually a CNN campaign. So I think be wary of anybody who says, just trust me. No. Don't just trust anyone. Don't just trust me or James or the media. Do what you can to figure out what's really going on. Let's break this story down. They say CNN insider blows whistle on network president Jeff Zucker's personal vendetta against POTUS. Whoa, personal vendetta. Well, let me say something. In the video, one of the employees actually says, yes, Jeff Zucker has a personal vendetta against Trump. Whether or not you think it's appropriate for a headline, I think it's important to note you are going to see the critics saying, these are just low-level employees, it doesn't mean anything. Well, hold on. If this is how several low-level and mid-level employees feel, then I think it's fair to say that there are people at CNN who are tired of this fake news bias. One of the most important things in this video released by Veritas is that Jeff Zucker refers to a story cited by Ron Johnson, calling it fake conspiracy nonsense, blaming Fox News. The story was real. It was from Politico. The media is duplicitous and deceitful, and I can't tell you why, but when you fact check this stuff, you'll start seeing it. And this is what scares me. So let's read the key points of the Veritas expose. He says, Carrie Porch, who works at CNN's Washington bureau, says, I decided to wear a hidden camera to expose the bias. In fact, in the story, he said he was going to quit, that he was tired of it. He says, Jeff Zucker on this phone call says that Fox News is a propaganda machine. And he said, what are we doing? We're doing the same thing. And therein lies the problem. We know Fox News has biased, opinionated hosts. They talk about it. They admit it. They know it. Don Lemon, on the other hand, claims he's not biased. We'll get to all that as well. We'll go through all this. The New York Times didn't want people appearing on CNN because they were partisan. And CNN tries acting like they're not, but they are. The guests they pick, the narrative they push, it's very obviously partisan. You want to call them trusted? I would say no. They actually have several phone calls from the 9 a.m. rundown. And here's what's crazy. They actually had a phone call this morning where Jeff Zucker was addressing Veritas. It's quite incredible. So definitely check out Veritas. See the story for yourself. I want to make sure I make that clear. You got to fact check me, same as everybody else, and decide for yourself. So in one instance, Jeff Zucker tells staffers that impeachment is the story. Now, this is another important segment. One of the producers says that MSNBC is going to be running this big thing on Second Amendment with Gabby Giffords' PAC. And Zucker says, no, I don't care about that. Impeachment is the story. Now, here's the thing. Let's start light. That's fine. It's a business decision. Jeff Zucker says, I don't think we should focus on that. It's not a big story. I've had conversations like this. People say, hey, should we talk about this story? And I'm like, look, we have to make a choice. What do we think is the most important thing right now? We can talk about the Democratic debates, or we can talk about impeachment. But here's the thing. The other employees caught on hidden camera then go on to say that there are many times that journalists say, I want to do right by journalistic ethics and integrity. And Zucker comes down and says, no, we're doing Trump. And that was one of the concerns brought forward by the whistleblower and other staff members. They're tired of it. One guy saying, I am tired of talking about Trump. Boy, do I hear that. Me too. I'm glad Veritas had some big story to come out today, so I don't got to talk about what the president had for lunch yesterday. But people at CNN feel it. And this is another really, really important takeaway from what Veritas is exposing. It's not every employee. It's not every single employee, but you can at least see that there is dissent among the staff there. They are tired of being told by the highest staffer, the highest individual, Zucker, that they have to just keep talking about Trump. No, CNN, you don't. Employees ordered by Zucker to knock off friendliness towards Lindsey Graham. Now, I'll play this one, let's play both sides here. Saying you shouldn't be friendly to Lindsey Graham, I think, is inappropriate. Saying you should challenge him, absolutely. We can be civil, we can be friendly, and we can be direct and challenge. I think James would have no problem with me saying I believe he has a bias and you should fact check him because he's literally saying the same thing about others. That's the important point. I can be friendly with them, I can be critical of them, and I can highlight their work, and we can get along in the process. At the end of the day, I think while there is a difference in the politics of, me and Trump supporters and people like James, one thing that actually we agree on is you should know the facts. And you should know if someone's trying to manipulate you, absolutely manipulate you, or if they're just not aware. So one CNN staffer, he said that Jeff Zucker has a personal vendetta against Trump. You get in on the 9 a.m. call, and the big boss Jeff Zucker, he effing tells you what to do. There's a floor manager who says it's the Trump network. They sold them souls to the devil. This is dissent within CNN. I wonder how many other people are just upset by it. There's one point in it where one man, he's a floor director, says, we created this monster. The media created Trump, he says, and now we eat a full plate of it every day. There is an insinuation among many of these staff that they're aware that the free press they gave to Trump through all the controversies in 2015 resulted in his winning. And I think they're guilty about it. Perhaps Jeff Zucker knows that by chasing Trump nonstop, it helped him. And perhaps now he's saying maybe we need to do something else. But in reality, he's doing the same thing. Their obsession with Trump is absurd. What we see here and why this is important, let me say, Is this the highest level of CNN staffers saying things like, ha ha ha, we're going to defeat Trump? Not necessarily. But it is Jeff Zucker talking about how Fox News is fake news, conspiracy nonsense, and he's wrong. He cited a fact-based story from Politico. Or he was referencing it. He didn't realize it, but he called it conspiracy Fox News nonsense. Guess what? Jeff Zucker probably got that story from another media outlet that failed to fact check. I kid you not. So let me show you this story. From Business Insider, GOP Senator Ron Johnson had a Fox News conspiracy meltdown on Meet the Press and changed his story on Ukraine. Business Insider pushed the story while I watched the interview. In fact, Ron Johnson referenced Politico. Yes, there is a story in Politico, several actually, referencing Joe Biden's soft corruption and referencing the Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump. This was in 2017. How is it that they can report these stories, Politico can, and then a couple years later, when it's being cited saying we need to do something about it, the media comes out and calls it a Fox News conspiracy? I'm sorry, this is off the wall nuts. Jeff Zucker, in that Veritas video, refers to Ron Johnson specifically, saying that Fox News' conspiracy nonsense is deeply embedded in this country. Stop. Full stop. CNN, what do you think you are doing? I'm not going to sit here and play defense for Fox News. It wasn't a Fox News conspiracy. It was from Politico, mainstream publication whose reporter now works for the New York Times. But CNN is literally the same thing, and I'll tell you what's scary and why it's significant. For one, the staff at CNN know it's a problem. They've spoken out to their coworkers. It's time people at CNN speak up about this more. So it was very brave of Kerry Porch to come out and do this. He was going to quit, and he decided to show people what people actually think inside CNN. Is CNN biased? You better believe it. But the important takeaway here, one of the most important things, and why I think the Veritas expose really is significant, is that Jeff Zucker cited fake news in why he is motivated to go after Trump. Look, man, you don't have to like the president. I can say this every day. I was recently very critical of Trump's moves on Saudi Arabia and the hypocritical nature of his statements, but that's fine. So long as we're having an honest conversation about what's going on, we can discuss opinions. But Jeff Zucker at CNN is saying this story from Politico is Fox News conspiracy nonsense. I'm sorry, he drank the Kool-Aid. He drank the propaganda. Listen, the people in media, they started misframing stories for clicks. They started reading those misframed stories, and now they're trapped in that world of fake news. And they think it's you or me who's trapped in that. But I can prove to you that's not the case. And allow me to show you, well, I can. Take a look at this story from Business Insider, who I just recently criticized. Keep that in mind. These are the most and least biased news outlets in the US, according to Americans. I want to tell you why I think there's a divide and why I think this is more detrimental to the left. For the most part, we all agree Fox News is biased. We do. Check this out. The number one most biased site, according to this study, was Fox News. Democrats scored at minus 87. It's on a scale of 0 to 100, with negative being more biased and positive being less biased. And Republicans only gave it a plus 3, meaning Republicans are only somewhat willing to accept Fox News. Isn't that amazing? Whereas Democrats overwhelmingly reject it. That's fine. Same is true for Breitbart. In fact, Republicans also believe Breitbart is biased. But let's do this. Let me show you some data. And I'll tell you exactly why I think this is detrimental to CNN's viewers and the left. Let's be real. I'm trying to zoom in here. What you're seeing here is the actual report, the breakdown of who perceives bias in the media based on whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. On the Democrat side, we can see from the Wall Street Journal, CNN, USA Today, Washington Post, NBC News, the New York Times, CBS News, NPR, ABC, PBS, AP. They're all viewed as less biased. And then you have MSNBC's perceived as slightly biased, Vox, HuffPo, Mother Jones as relatively biased, Breitbart and Fox News as extremely biased. But the most important thing is that Democrats overwhelmingly trust the media. That's a mistake. And we can see that according to Republicans, they overwhelmingly distrust the media, or at least view them as biased. Even among Republicans, they only give a slight positive rating to the Wall Street Journal and Fox News. No, they don't cherish Fox News or Breitbart. They think even Breitbart is biased, more biased than Vox. The least biased, but still biased outlet according to Republicans is Vox. Isn't that incredible? What that says to me is, Jeff Zucker is on this side. They're regurgitating their own fake news. Republicans are distrusting it. That's why they're on alternative media, and it's why many of them are doing their own fact-checking, and it's why it's hilariously, there are many times I'll do a video and I'll see in the comments people correcting me. It's because these are people who are online, who are seeing a story and then are looking it up. And a lot of the people who now support the president, or at least are coming out and blowing the whistle on CNN, are not even Republicans. I was recently accused of being a Trump fan simply for criticizing the media outrage over that Kingsman video meme. Did you see this story today? It's going crazy. Somebody a year ago made a meme video of a scene from Kingsman with Trump's head over the character of, Colin Firth, where he, goes on a rampage, to say the least. I criticize media outrage because it's fake. I was called a Trump fan because of that. No, it's not true. It's just not the case. We can all be critical of the media. When you distrust the media, okay, you're more likely to see what is actually going on. And that's a sad reality. But I've got some examples for you that we can go through. I'm not going to pull up this article, okay? I can't, because it's even though it's footage of a gun show, YouTube, I'm trying to be very, very careful on this video to not give them any reason. But today, ABC was called out and had to apologize. Check this out. World News Tonight, correction. We've taken down video that aired on World News Tonight, Sunday, and Good Morning America that morning that appeared to be from the Syrian border immediately after questions were raised about its accuracy. ABC News regrets the error. You see, what happened was they aired footage from a military show that was just a weapons expo of some sort, showing this, and they claimed it was from the Middle East. This is why I'm telling you not to trust the media. I'm not saying don't read the media. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is absolutely watch. And then you're going to have to fact check it yourself. None of us are 100% correct. What you're getting here is my personal opinion, my subjective worldview. The same is true for the whistleblower. He's explaining to you how he feels and how other people feel. You're going to have to figure out for yourself who to trust and why. And that's the most important takeaway from all of this. I'm not here to say journalists are all evil liars. Many of them are. Many of them are trapped in their own cycle of BS, but many of them make mistakes. We have seen mistake after mistake, especially with Russiagate. I find it utter hilarious that Jeff Zucker is going to complain about Fox News when Fox News was right on the Russia stuff. Okay, come on, man. We know you and MSNBC have said the most absurd and outrageous things. Let's not play games here. But here's the problem. Republicans don't trust the media. Well, good. It's good and it's bad in a lot of ways. It means they might fall for, one of the ways I've explained it is, you've got to trust the media to a certain extent, but don't just blindly trust them, because you'll see these mistakes from ABC and you won't see the truth. People are going to share this video saying you need to see this, and then no one's going to investigate. You need to take care, to make sure you are fact-checking to the best of your abilities. And here's the dangerous circumstance, and this is why journalism is over, in my opinion. It has never been the job of the citizen to be the journalist. The journalist collects and disseminates information and tries to inform you to the best of their ability. Now it's on all of us, because they're chasing a profit motive. I genuinely believe Jeff Zucker, for one, has drank his own Kool-Aid and is believing fake news. It's not a conspiracy. It's Politico reporting. Okay, there's multiple stories on this. It's a fact. Ron Johnson cited Politico. And it's not even the first time MSNBC has accused somebody of being a conspiracy theorist or a Russian propagandist. It's absurd. But I also believe Jeff Zucker is driven by the profit incentive. That he knows that Trump bump is juicy, impeachment, ignore everything else. But aren't other things important? Doesn't matter. This has been on the screen for quite some time. How much of the news you read or watch comes from news organizations that are generally blank in their point of view? White liberals typically only read or watch liberal news. Moderates typically lean liberal, but get a decent amount of conservative. Around a third to a half of what moderates consume will be conservative. I'm sorry, a third, not a half, a third. White conservatives get just about 2/3 from conservative outlets. This is an important thing I've highlighted in the past. It shows you why moderates and conservatives probably agree on a lot, because we mix our media diets up. I listen to what people like Hannity has to say. Not a big fan for the most part of his opinions and political stances, right? But that's fine. I'm willing to hear him out. And I think this is a really, really important takeaway from, everything we see in media. You'll see these activists claim that Trump supporters are cult-like and you've always got to be praising Trump. Oh, that's ridiculous. I have a bunch of Trump supporters who email me every day saying they completely disagree with me on politics, but they appreciate that I try my best to listen to their actual arguments, not just make things up. Or that I'm willing to criticize the media for being mad about a scene from Kingsman. Yeah, we agree on a lot of cultural things like Video games are fine. Movies, please calm down. Memes are funny. But the media tends to have this fake outrage for the sake of just, I guess, outrage. So if you don't fact check, if you only read one side, don't be surprised when you're getting all of this fake news. But I'll tell you what's really interesting. The Veritas video is the first of many. And I think it will inspire more people to speak out. Because what we learned from the whistleblower and from James O'Keefe is that it's not just this one person who's filmed this and is blowing the whistle on the bias, conspiracy nonsense of CNN. It's that he actually filmed other employees agreeing with everything all of us are seeing. That CNN has along with other outlets, they've totally lost it. You know, this is the story I referenced earlier. I want to show you the source. Don Lemon sours on New York Times for directing reporters to avoid highly partisan cable shows. These employees at CNN in Veritas' video say straight up, Don Lemon's anti-Trump. He's a partisan actor. He's not giving you the facts. He's giving you his personal left-wing opinions. And they act like they're not. So what can we do in the end? Well, I do want to end with one more final thought on this. Do not leave this believing it is only the conservatives and the moderates who see this problem. Make no mistake, the progressives have seen it for a while now. Take a look at this story. I want to say, man, we're all in this together. We're all people, regardless of whether you're a conservative, a progressive, even a socialist. And I mean that. There is an establishment line. There is duplicitous behavior. There's manipulation. And they want to support certain candidates and take down other candidates. And that might be Trump. It also might be Bernie Sanders. Take a look at this. CNN accused of manipulating Bernie Sanders' footage to make him look unwell. And they've been accused of doing this to Trump as well. It's very strange. Take a look at this image. This is someone from CNN interviewing Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders is very red. His skin is flushed. We can see here, this image says CNN and reality. In reality, Bernie wasn't bright red. But here's the important thing you need to notice. For those that are listening, I'll just explain it to you. In the image of Bernie, whose skin is bright red, you can see the grass has a yellowish, reddish hue to it. And you can see in the other photo, the grass is green. It's very strange, isn't it? I'm not saying CNN did this on purpose, I don't know. But people on the left, fans of Bernie Sanders, are pointing this out, saying, why is the color off? The lawn is nearly muted and the reds near the house are practically pink. It's true. It looks as though the footage published by CNN, for whatever reason, makes Bernie Sanders look completely flushed. This was just after his heart attack. But I won't stop there. This user, Chicken Hern Burn, I don't know what that is, but they filmed a segment that shows CNN claiming Bernie Sanders had a stroke. I kid you not. Bernie Sanders did not have a stroke. Bernie Sanders had a heart attack. Okay, I feel for him. I wish him the best. But I want to stand here in complete solidarity with the supporters of Bernie Sanders. I used to be a big supporter, big fan of Sanders. I've soured on him a little bit. That's fine. I will completely, 100% defend Bernie Sanders and his supporters from the media lies, from the PR game, the lies, and the manipulations. Bernie Sanders did not have a stroke. His skin was not flushed. But why do they do it? I can't tell you. Was it on purpose? Maybe she's just wrong. But it leads me to one point in all of this. You cannot blindly just trust the media. Not me, not James, not CNN, not Fox, no one. It's preaching to the choir because, I mean, there you go. You can look at the data. Republicans already don't trust the media. They barely trust Fox News. Or I should say they consider them biased. So it seems that those who are Republicans are more likely to be skeptical because they'll see a bias, at least possibly. I think that's the right move. And I think it doesn't change my policy opinions. It certainly changes my understanding of the world when we learn that ABC put out fake footage of the Middle East. It was actually just a weapons expo, military expo in Knob Creek. I believe it's called Knob Creek. But you can see that Democrats just overwhelmingly see these outlets as not biased, as viewing them as objective. And they're not. ABC with 56 positive from Democrats. Look, ABC got rid of Brian Ross. Okay, you remember that? Because he botched a story. Journalists make mistakes. Corrections happen. I respect those corrections. But they do prove a point. You cannot just trust everything you read. There's something you should look up after this called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. When you're an expert, me, I'm a skateboarding expert. I know everything about skateboarding. I personally know several pros. I grew up 20 plus years skateboarding. I read a story about skateboarding and I laugh at how wrong it is. And then you turn the page and you find a story about, the Middle East, and you're believing it like it's real. This is called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. That you'll see a story in which you are the expert, like you're a carpenter, you read a story about carpentry, and you laugh at how the journalist gets it wrong. But then as you turn the page and find a subject you're not an expert on, you assume it's true. You cannot blindly trust the media. Now, I'll end with one thought. There's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, so what? We knew that CNN was biased, okay? Or they're going to say, you know what? This is not true. You're attacking CNN. Listen, man. We can all sit here and assume that we've seen the bias. But what we see here from an employee recording other employees, we can see that even within the company, they know it's true. Employees within CNN are on camera saying the company is biased. Zucker has a vendetta against Trump. That's important context. Maybe those employees are wrong. Fine. But we can see the employees believe this. Not all of them, just enough. Enough to show us that, for one, we can see that they're actually good people at CNN who are now becoming disillusioned and outraged by the constant Trump cycle. Respect to those people. I hope they come forward and speak out. They're going to be scared of losing their jobs, I'd imagine. But here you have a guy, Kerry Porch, who had nothing left to lose. He was so fed up with what he saw, he was willing to leave. And he decided he was going to show people. That is a CNN employee of several years saying, people need to know about this. Respect. Now we can see that there is a perceived bias even within their own company. But go to allsides.com and you will see that they straight up say CNN has a lean left bias. And this is not the TV. This is just the website. They say this: CNN displays opinion-level content alongside hard news on the homepage, making it look like the opinion pieces are objective, fact-based news. Okay, so there you go. I'll leave it there. Go to Project Veritas. Check it out for yourself. And I'll stress, Veritas gets a red exclamation point rating from NewsGuard, meaning that they're considered not to be credible. And I believe this is another big aspect of the bias across the board. There are very few outlets I would ever consider using. And I do this for a reason. NewsGuard is a third-party agency. I believe they're biased as well. Everybody has some kind of bias. They think Veritas is wrong or bad. But you know what, man? Other networks have used the same tactics as them. And because James doesn't disclose who works for him and how he gets his funding, that's a huge red flag for NewsGuard. So I can accept that. But in the end, the footage doesn't lie, and the whistleblower, he's telling us his view on the world. Footage can be edited deceptively, can be edited out of context, that's all true. But look at what these people are saying, and look at what this whistleblower is saying. He is telling you he worked there. This is not just one of James O'Keefe's people going into CNN. This is somebody who worked at CNN who came forward. That is a story I am absolutely willing to point out. But in the end, I will stress, I always try to use NewsGuard certified outlets to make sure people can't just deny what I'm telling you when I have it pulled up. Well, Veritas doesn't meet the same standard that NewsGuard wants. But in the end, I believe that very few people are doing the kind of work that James does that needs to be done. Look, people have a right to privacy, but when there's wrongdoing and deception, and it's dangerous for our country to a certain extent, it's important that people hear about this. So props to the whistleblower. I think James has done some good work here. And I wish things weren't so divided. I'll give you one final thought on this. This is a long video, I'm sorry. With Jeff Zucker blaming Fox News for being conspiracy nonsense, with many of us pointing to CNN's conspiracy nonsense, at the end, I'll just say, you got to do your research, but it doesn't matter if it's true or not. CNN, while their ratings aren't the highest, they're powerful. And it shows you this stark divide in our country where people literally believe the other side believes conspiracy fake news nonsense. I assure you, all of us, we know we're right? I mean, I showed you the data. Republicans do not trust. They believe these outlets are biased. I've pulled up this stuff to prove, to back up what I have to say. And we know we're right. But then these people on the other side, mostly Democrats watching CNN, just say, yeah, but CNN is the authority. They must be right. I think they're wrong for doing it. They think I'm wrong for not trusting them. And therein lies the big problem. Even if we know we're right, what do? And the sad thing is, I think it's great that we have now hard confirmation from employees inside CNN saying, hey, this company's biased and we know it. I think it's important now that we can all say, here's some definitive statements. This is the proof we needed because we all kind of saw it. It won't change any minds. They're going to start smearing James O'Keefe. They're going to accuse him of lying. They're going to accuse him of taking things out of context. I absolutely do not believe that to be the case. You would have to assume that this guy who worked at CNN is lying as well, and that makes no sense. Okay? The simple solution. A CNN employee was tired of the bias, and he is here to tell you that other employees feel that same way, that from the top down, from Jeff Zucker, they believe their own fake news. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. youtube.com/TimCastNews. I'll stress it again. Watch the video for yourself. Go to Project Veritas, check out the video. Don't take my word for anything. I appreciate all of you who trust and respect my work, and I think part of that is because I'm willing to tell you that, for one, I don't think I'm always right. I know I get things wrong. I will absolutely correct if I make a mistake, and I want you to fact check me all the time. I'm just a dude reading through these stories and trying to the best of my ability to figure out what's really going on. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you on the next segment.